Welcome to the channel. I'm Stacy, and my goal here is to help you to play better and sound better in your worship services. Today we're going to go over the parts for the song I Know a Name by Elevation Worship in Brandon Lake. I love these parts and they feel so good under my fingers. We're going to be in the key of C, and the melodies for the chorus run immediately in and around that open C chord. Like so many songs, your pick attack plays a big role in the dynamics. We come in on the first verse with a swell on a C chord, and that's going to be in an A shape up here. D, G, and B strings all fretted at the 5th fret. And then a B flat, which is D, G, and B fretted at the 8th, 7th, and 6th fret. And then an F chord fretted here at the 7th, 5th, and 6th fret. So the C is an A shape, the B flat is an F shape, and that F is a D shape. So those chords are going to sound like this. You're going to run through that 3 times and then repeat the B flat to F to wrap up that verse. With all the effects, we'll run through it once and it's going to sound like this. And coming out of that, we go into our first chorus, and all the choruses are similar with just slight differences, but they all start the same. So we're going to be on an open C chord, and we're going to rake from the A through the high E. And then there's the first half of the chorus, and on the second half of the chorus, we're going to rake from the A to the B. So the first half of the chorus is right here. We're going to rake that chord. And then we're going to do a hammer-on the D string from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret, pick an open G, repeat that hammer-on from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret. And then we're going to pick the A at the 1st fret, the D at the 3rd fret, the low E at the 1st fret, the A at the 3rd fret, and then we're going to pick the A at the 1st fret, an open D, and then the low E at the 1st fret. And all that will sound like this with the effects. And then the second half of the chorus is that open C chord raked from the A string to the B. And then we're going to do one hammer-on the D string on the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret. Then we're going to pick an open G and then fret that 2nd fret again on the D string. And then we're going to be on the 1st fret A string, and then the 3rd fret D string, and then the 1st fret E, the 3rd fret E, the 3rd fret A, and then the 1st fret A, the open D, the low E, and then there's a pause, and we play that A note at the 3rd fret again. And all of that will sound like this. So coming right out of that, we're going to go into verse 2, and we're going to be on the 5th fret G string. We're going to strike that note once, and then we're going to alternate pick it 4 times. We're going to do that 3 times, and then we're going to strike it again, alternate pick it 4 times, and then come down to the 3rd fret G string. We're going to strike that once, and then we're going to alternate pick it 3 times, and then once to the 2nd fret. And then we're going to strike the D string at the 5th fret, and then alternate pick it 4 times, and then the D string at the 3rd fret and alternate pick it 4 times. We're going to do that whole passage 3 times, and that's going to be verse 2. And here's how it's going to sound. I'll just go through it once, and you'll be able to hear how that all comes together. Coming out of that, we're in our second chorus, and we're going to do that rake from the A string through the high E. And then we're going to do a hammer-on the 2nd to 3rd fret on the D string, pick an open G, come up to the A string 1st fret, D string 3rd fret, and then another open G, and then the first fret on the low E, the third fret on the A, then the first fret on the A, the open D, and the first fret on the low E. Then the second half of that chorus starts off with the rake from the A through the B string. The hammer-on is the same, second to the third fret on the D string, open G. We fret that second fret on the D string, and then we play the A string at the first fret, the D string at the third, and then another open G, the low E at the first, the A at the third, and then an open D, and then the A at the first, another open D, and the low E at the first. And that's going to sound like this. And then coming out of that, we're going to rake an open C chord. That rake brings us into the bridge, and you can handle this one of two ways. There was a track where they just played the octave C, so the A at the third fret, the G at the fifth fret, and muted the D string. And that can work. If you have a bass player or a keys player doing the walk, that can give you a little bit more low end in your mix. But if you're the only guitar player, it might be a little bit more dynamic to kind of build it with the walk. So we're going to be fretting the fifth fret on the D and G strings, and then the B string at the eighth fret. We're going to strum through that 2 6 counts for time, and then we're going to come in and fret the seventh fret on the D string, and then and that's going to be for 6 counts, and then the sixth fret on the D string for 6 counts. And then we're going to repeat that part 3 times, and coming out of that, we're going to land on a C chord at the fifth fret, so that's going to be the D, G, and B strings, and that brings us right into the refrain. So for this one, I kick off my drive, I kick on just a little bit more reverb and delay, and then we're going to do a walk. We hit that C chord, and then we're going to fret the B string at the 6th fret, then the 8th fret, and then the 8th fret on the high E, the 6th on the high E, the 5th fret at the high E, and then back up to the B string on the 8th fret, the B string at the 6th fret, and then the B string at the 5th fret. And then we repeat that line. And then when we come back to this little walk down to the 5th fret, I kick on snapshot 3 or whatever you have to give you more ambience to help that note kind of flow in as the song kind of comes down in dynamics. So running through the whole thing with the effects, it'll sound like this. There's just a small amount of time that this is kind of settling, and then the song's going to start to build again. We're going to come in with the swell on a C chord. We're going to fret it on the D string at the 5th fret, D and G, and then the B string at the 8th fret, and we're going to hit that twice. And then we're going to rake a C chord with the A string at the 3rd fret, and then I bar with my pinky the D, G, and B strings at the 5th fret. And then I kick it over to the tones that I'm using for the chorus, and then we're going to fret the D string at the 5th fret and the G string at the 3rd. And then we have a little walk. We're going to fret the D string at the 3rd fret, an open G, that D string at the 3rd fret again, and then the D string at the 2nd fret, and then we're going to be in an open C chord. We're going to strum that for a 12 count, and then we're going to bring our pinky down on the G string at the 3rd fret. Now this is a C7, but there's a walk happening right here, and this is part of it. So we're going to strum this a 6 count, and then we'll lift our pinky, we lift our middle finger, and bring that down on the G string at the 2nd fret. We're going to hit that 6 times. And then once we've done that, we're going to kick on our lead tone, and then we're going to be in an octave run, starting at the 3rd fret and 5th fret of the A and G strings, muting the D, and then the 5th fret and 7th fret, the 7th fret and 9th fret. Then we're going to come up to the 10th and 12th, down to the 8th and 10th, and then the 7th and 9th. So that whole run with the walk and then those strums on those chords will sound like this. And then we have this cool riff to play where we're going to be fretting the D and G strings at the 10th fret. And then we're going to be alternating between, on the G string, between the 10th and 12th fret. So we're going to do 3 strikes, and these are all pretty quick. 3 strikes on the G string at the 12th fret, always having the D string at the 10th. 3 strikes with the G string at the 10th, and then another one with the G at the 12th. And then there's a slight pause, and then there's a quick 12, 10, 12, 10. And that part's going to sound like this. Without the effects, I'll run through the whole thing with the effects for both parts. So that's going to run through twice. Then we're going to come down to the G and B strings. We're going to bar those both on the 10th fret, and then the alternate on this one will be the 11th fret on the B string. 3 strikes with it on the 11th, 3 with it on the 10th. Another with it on the 11th with that slight pause, and then 11, 10, 11, 10. And then we're going to do the melody walk, which is going to be just the 11th fret B string, 10th fret B string, 12th fret G string, 10th fret G string. So I'll run through that whole part so you can hear everything in context and how that walk comes in to set up the next pass. We run through that whole thing 4 times, but I'll run through it once, leading you into the second pass. So that whole part runs through 4 times, and then that leads us into another chorus. And for this, I kept my lead tone on. It kind of like tightened up the EQ a little bit, and it just kind of gave that rake from the A through the high E string just a little bit more presence, a little bit more punch in the mix. And so going into that chorus, we're going to do that rake. We're going to rake from the A through the high E. We're going to hammer on the 2nd to the 3rd fret, and then an open G, and then the 1st fret on the A, the 3rd fret on the D, and then another open G, and then the 1st fret on the low E, the 3rd fret on the A, the 1st fret on the A, open D, and the 1st fret on the E. And on the back half, we're going to rake from the A to the B string. We're going to repeat that hammer-on progression. So the 2nd to the 3rd fret, open G, let that ring. And then the A on the 1st fret, the D on the 3rd fret, and then another open G. The low E on the 1st fret, the A on the 3rd fret, and then an open D. The A on the 1st fret, open D, the low E on the 1st fret. Then we're into another octave run. starting on a C chord at the 3rd fret A string, 5th fret G string. We're going to hit that, and then we're going to come down to the B flat, 1st fret and 3rd fret, and then up to an F, 8th fret and 10th fret, and back down to the C. We start that again, and then before we hit that B flat again, there's a slight pause, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute. Back up to the F, and then the rhythm changes a little bit. There's a little bit more giddy up, and then we're going to be at the C at the 3rd and 5th fret, and then D at the 5th and 7th, and then F at the 8th and 10th. We're going to repeat that twice, and then we're going to land on the C, and I kick on my swell tone and let that note carry out. There's a little bit of a letdown right there, and then we're going to swell in with the C chord at the 5th fret on the D, G, and B strings, with the B flat, just like we did on the intro, 8th, 7th, and 6th fret on the D, G, and B, and then an F, 7th, 5th, and 6th frets. Then we're going to come in on a C chord on the D, G, and B strings at the 5th fret. We're going to strum those 3 and swell in, and then we're going to add the B string at the 6th fret, strum that and swell in, and then the B string at the 8th fret, back down to the 6th, back up to the 8th, and then we're going to strum an open C chord. So now I'll run through that bridge with the octave run right into that final refrain and that final chorus. I hear a lot of negative talk about cowboy chords, but sometimes they're the right choice. Do you try to avoid them, or do you embrace your inner chord rustler? Let us know in the comments. If you'd like the resources for this song, you can find them at a link in the description box below. There are a handful of downloads free for you in there as well. If you found this video helpful, subscribe and hit that like button for good measure. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.